Hello everyone. As you all know, Record Store Day was both postponed and divided into three. But before Record Store Day 1, I saw a full list of releases, which in the end didn't turn out to be a full list. But anyway, I saw a list which was in the end divided into three. But I noticed that the list didn't include anything that I absolutely had to have. As a side note, I want to mention that on all 3 days I did buy records that were not RSD related. But yeah, coming up to the Record Store Day 1, there were 2 records that I knew that I would get if I would find them, and then there were several that I would decide if I find them on the store. I will decide then. But yeah, like I said, there was nothing absolutely necessary to me, so I went on Record Store Day 1 and 2, I went several hours later. So going into the store on Record Store Day 1, the first thing that I found was Pink Floyd Unchained Live. And this was like number 1 on my maybe list, which was the main reason why I ended up getting this one. And this one is the only Record Store Day purchase that I am disappointed with, and I will get back to that a bit later. Next, I found one that was number 2 on my must, well, not must, but on a list that I knew that I would get if I would find them, and that was Pogue's BBC Sessions 1984-85. Logically thinking, this should have been my number 1 because I didn't have any of these recordings. I was familiar with all of the songs except for Danny Boy, which as a song I am familiar, just not as a Pogue's recording. But yeah, this was my number 2. My number 1 was Kirsty MacColl, but I heard that the Kirsty MacColl record didn't get delivered to Finland at all. So yeah, very glad to have found this one. But they did say that they sometimes they get Record Store Day releases like a couple of weeks after, so it's possible that they would get Kirsty MacColl, and do I want to leave my name on the list? So I thought that I have nothing to lose, that yeah, I'll leave my name on the list. Then I went to the second store, and honestly I didn't find anything that interesting, which is the main reason why I bought Pretenders Live at the Paradise Theatre, Boston, 1980. I love early Pretenders, but I already had a live recording from 1981, which is why I didn't feel that this was that necessary. This was originally issued as a promotional only live album in 1980. And out of these 2, I do prefer the 1981 recording. Okay. Then I went to store 3, store 4, I didn't find anything. I went to store 5, again I didn't really find anything. But in all 4 stores I had seen this record, and in each store the price always went a bit down until the 5th one was the cheapest one, and I bought The Who, Odds and Sods. This one had been on the bottom of my list because I have the mid-90s CD issue, and I thought that this would be the same. But it's not. And there's 8 songs different to the CD issue. And which is a good thing is that this has the first album, includes the original album as it was. On the CD the track listing is jumbled. But here it's the original, and the bonus tracks are on the second LP. This is a colored vinyl, one is red, one is yellow. So yeah, that was it on Record Store Day 1, but 2 weeks later I got an email telling me that the Kirsty MacColl album Other People's Hearts, B-sides 1988-1989 was finally delivered, and I went to pick it up 1 week later. I love Kirsty, so I was very, very glad to get this one. Even though I had all the songs, which is why I didn't deem this to be very essential. I had all the songs on a double CD of Kite, but yeah, like I said, I love Kirsty, so I was very glad to get this one. Okay, let's go back to the are not lame. The reason why I was disappointed in this one was that when I found this, I also found U2 11 o'clock TikTok, which was not on my list. U2 cost only €1 more, so because this one was on my list, it was €1 cheaper, I decided to buy this one. But it started bothering me that instead of getting 4 songs, I only get 1 song for €1 less. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. So after picking up the Kirsty McCall, I started thinking about that U2. That store had sold out the U2, but I remember that the other store also had it, so I went to check it up if they still had it, and they did, so I bought U2 11 o'clock TikTok. Also includes Touch, and on the B-side are live recordings from Marquee 1980, Touch and Twilight. So I'm very glad that this one didn't remain as like something that troubled me. But yeah, that was Record Store Day 1. So coming up to Record Store Day 2, there were 3 records that I was considering, but again, nothing essential. So just a couple of days before Record Store Day, one of the stores announced that they would have a release that would be exclusive to their store only. So that became my main interest for that day. And it's Andy McCoy featuring Ville Valo, Xmas song, 2 different versions, or rather 2 different edits of the same song. This had been issued as a limited edition CD single release 4 years earlier, so now it got a vinyl release. So very happy to get that one. And the only album on Record Store Day 2 that I was looking for, I also found Alternate Rumors. Now a third of these alternate albums. These are great in my opinion that they release them these as independent releases. This isn't double album including the original Rumors and now the alternate. This is just the alternate album, which is a great idea in my opinion. So that was for Record Store Day 2. Yeah, I did go to 2 other stores and I asked for Trashman Surfing Bird, which was not delivered to Finland at all, and Keith Richards single, which got pulled like a day before the Record Store Day. So coming up to Record Store Day 3, this time I went a bit earlier because I woke up so early, so I was less than an hour after the stores opened I was there, but everybody had cleared out, so I had the store to myself. This was not my top choice out of the 4 releases that I was looking for, but this one I picked up first. This is Thin Lizzy Chinatown 2 LP, and this one I picked up first because the year before the Black Rose had been very difficult to find, but this time I actually saw this in all 3 stores that I visited. But yeah, when this was originally announced, I thought that if this is the same as the double CD, I'm not going to buy it. But it was only after then I realized that obviously this is going to be the same kind of release as Black Rose, which is the first original album on the first LP, and then alternate takes on the second LP. This one says that it's demo versions, but they're not really demo versions, they are alternate versions. And there are 2 differences between this and Black Rose. One is that whereas on the Black Rose the alternate versions are very different to the released ones, here they are very similar. There's not much difference between these versions. And the second one is whereas on Black Rose the second LP has all 9 tracks which were originally issued on Black Rose, but this one only has 8 out of 9 tracks. The second LP does not include Genocide, The Killing of the Buffalo. Instead it has Turnaround, which is early version of Don't Play Around. But yeah, glad to get that anyway. I'm a big Thin Lizzy fan, so I bet I would have been mad at myself had I not bought that. So I went to the second store, or rather, let's go back a bit. I also looked for Keith Richards single there. So I asked them did they get it, and they said that they received all of 1 copy of it, which was obviously gone by then. So I went to the second store, and right away I asked them as I walked in that did they get Keith Richards single, and they did. And these are two songs from the Main Offender, but the B-side, Key to the Highway, was only issued on a Japanese CD version of Main Offender. This one says April 18th, 2020. So this had been planned already for April release. So why did it take all the way up until drop 3 before this was issued? Like I said, this had been named in as being released on drop 2, but it went all the way up until 3. But anyway, I got it, so I'm happy with it. One that I had considered for a short period, but I didn't really think I would, because when I first saw this one listed, I thought it was live recording from 1976, and I already had a live recording from that tour, so I didn't think that this would be anything necessary. But just a couple of days before Record Store Day 3, I found out that this Rory Gallagher Cleveland Calling was not a recording from 1976, but it's an acoustic recording from 1972. So this one became my number 1 on this Record Store Day 3. So after that I went to Store 3, and again I didn't really find anything that necessary, but this was one of the 4 that I had on my list, so I did end up buying it. Def Leppard Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 29th March 2019, 5-track EP. I like this, but there's one surprising thing, is that usually Def Leppard recordings are very high quality, and this one is also, except for Joe Elliott's vocals. They're not muddled, they're just unclear, which is surprising, or maybe Joe Elliott's vocals are like that these days. But yeah, I did like this one. And then I also picked up one which had been released on Record Store Day 1, but back then I had thought about that I'm not going to buy this. Now I'm going to wait until it gets a black vinyl release. But just a couple of days before Record Store Day 3, I started thinking that I'm not an audiophile. I have a picture disc from 1980s that I am fully happy with. I don't have anything to complain about those. So why would I have about these now, when I know that the sound quality is better these days? So I end up picking The Cure, Blood Flowers, picture disc 2LP. And I listened to this yesterday with headphones on, and it sounds great. It's kind of bass heavy, which is surprising to me, but sound quality is great. Right on the first song, Out of This World, there's this guitar effect that is like a shimmering sound, like ding 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 ding. Brilliant. And also there's a couple of songs has this thing where when Robert's voice comes in, it starts off like a very quiet voice, and it starts off coming from the corner, and then it grows up to be big, filling up the whole picture. Just great. Great sounding record, great record. I think this is a brilliant Cure album. And here's one thing that I haven't seen before. Double album, also the backside is cut out, and inside includes the lyrics. So yeah, that was it for Record Store Day. There are still 3 records that I am considering whether or not I will go back. I saw all of these in a couple of stores. The UFO Live, Who Live, and Stones Metamorphosis. Yeah, I'm still considering whether or not I will end up buying those or not, but at least for now I left them behind. Out of this all, I would say that my top 3 purchases were Kirsty MacColl, obviously, was my number 1, then Rory Gallagher, and then Keith Richards. Yeah, okay, that's it for this time. Hope you like this. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Bye.